Hi everyone, welcome to our team reflection for Bus 2000. So first off, we'll start with the IPO model. With the team inputs, we of course have a team of four former students with multidisciplinary background. For instance, I'm James, I'm studying marketing, innovation, and entrepreneurship. I'm a domestic student, and also my Hexaco highest is conscientiousness.
I'm Sean. I'm majoring in finance and banking. I'm a domestic student, and my highest Hexaco traits were conscientiousness and extroversion.
Hi, I'm Belinda. I major in finance and also do a combined degree in law. I'm also a domestic student, and my highest Hexaco trait is agreeableness.
Hi, I'm Sinin. I'm majoring in accounting and business analytics. I'm an international student, and my highest Hexaco is conscientiousness.
Yeah, so overall, we were able to practice inclusivity and avoid intergroup bias to remove any prejudice. And also, we also have a team of high conscientiousness, which is good because it means we are actually on track in every deadlines and can easily submit in time. And our other team inputs, of course, include the Bus 2000 modules, readings, and our tutor who acts as a team coach.
Yeah, to carry on from that, with our inputs, we were given a diverse and insightful team, and we were able to combine the best of our differing strengths in tandem with our similarities to create effective team plans and deliver an effective presentation. We had positive team processes, which helped facilitate effective teamwork through having our weekly Zoom meetings, discussing the assignment, where we created an open and engaging environment where each team member was encouraged to add to each topic of discussion, ensuring team cohesion and minimizing the negative team processes of social earthing and groupthink. We followed Haas and Mortensen's framework for creating great teamwork for the processes.
Yeah, so the first step is, of course, to have a compelling direction, which for us is to get good marks and also like submit in time. So that is our motivating. We have like internal deadlines. It was 6 October and each individual worked towards that goal.
So next, we also have like a strong structure by directing the Zoom meetings to keep us in order and prevent any negative behaviors and establishing like positive norms for conduct.
So on top of those, we also created supportive context by having group members choose their own areas of interest. On the 26th of September, then we all came together, shared information, and edited the slides together so we made sure they were cohesive and integrated.
Finally, we had the shared mindset by sharing information gathered amongst ourselves and giving feedback on what we thought could be improved, such as when we had a more text-heavy based presentation, we switched to a more open presentation due to group dialogue, ensuring all team members were included in the decision.
Yes, and we of course practice multiple times before the presentation day to ensure we're just in time and we know when transition happens.
Yeah, so however, we failed to know our parts before the presentation, so we actually like needed notes when we present. So James was the only one who memorized his part, but the rest of us like needed notes. So this could have been solved to produce like a more engaging performance if we knew about this when we were writing our script.
However, we would say overall, following this framework, we definitely created a strong foundation for successful presentation through using our own inputs that broaden our approach and as well as combining these elements together. So as a result, we follow strong team processes by promoting the positive team processes of team cohesion through creating individual and group goals.
Yeah, this resulted in a positive output as we delivered our presentation without an issue, demonstrated with our PALDIP feedback average score of 4.3, showing strong audience satisfaction with our presentation. However, we did have some room for improvement with lack of feedback, as it called for more informative slides that demonstrate our solutions, highlighting our weakness of creativity, and to present in a more communicated manner through avoiding the use of palm cards.
Yes, let's move on to the team conflict. To start off, overall, there's not many conflict. One of the minor conflict that we had is just about the referencing, whether to include it in each slide or not. For instance, there's one particular slide with charts, but there was no reference. So then I asked who created the slide. It was Sean, and he clarified that he included in the previous slide, like the in-text referencing and stuff. So then before I thought like it needs to have another source on like each slide, but then I just trust his judgment and yeah, accommodated his approach. So it wasn't a big deal anyways.
Looking at our first team conflict profile, so we actually have like a really high task conflict of 3.64 to 3.65 and a low process and relationship conflict of 1.83 and 1.76 respectively. So based on O'Neill and McLaren, our team conflict profile actually falls under the healthy conflict area. So this allows the group to progress well and have good outputs.
So the team reflection scale results are also very similar between one team member and the other, which means that we were all pretty much on the same page and it became a lot easier to work together.
Yeah, as you can see, we had a really high team humility, which ensured we thanked one another and had a healthy level of open-mindedness and dialogue to be able to get feedback and agree on decisions, even if we couldn't reach the collaborating stage and the Thomas Kilmann conflict model for all conflicts. What's interesting to see in the second team conflict profile is it's slightly more homogenous. We see quite a variation in process conflict, relationship conflict, and team humility.
Yeah, so for instance, I want to ask Berlinda, why do you think you rank process conflict the lowest?
So I would say that that could be attributed towards the fact that my highest technical trait is agreeableness, which is actually quite different to the other team members who mainly had conscientiousness as their highest technical trait. Which means that I tend to be more accommodating of other team members' perspectives and opinions. So as a result, I probably don't perceive as much process conflicts as other people do. And yeah, if there is any that pops up, it will probably be avoided by me when possible.
Okay, let's move on.
Yeah, so the next part we're going to look at is what specific team processes were used and most applicable when resolving the conflicts. So I think everybody would agree when I say that active collaboration and open communication were the crux of solving all of our team conflicts.
Yeah, we had good collaboration through instigating our group chat for frank dialogue, allowing discrepancies to be discussed in a relaxed manner. Our group also had frequent weekly meetings in the initial phase, so everyone was clear regarding the commitment required and the aims we had for our presentation.
Yeah, so this form of communication will lead to positive consequences such as greater senses of belonging and satisfaction with group collaboration.
So also like because everyone in the team, we don't compromise on our concern for self or the concern for others. So this help us reach like the satisfying conflict management style. So moving on to the last part about the culturally diverse team. So overall, this has definitely been like a very enlightening experience. So seeing that we are all from different backgrounds, we also have very different views and opinions that are rooted into our culture. So though we have the same characteristic that can be observed easily, like race, gender, and age, our values, personality, and culture is different. However, being a culturally diverse group can also lead to in-group, out-group dynamics where people will favor cultural in-group while dismissing ideas from out-groups, which will give rise to cognitive discrimination.
Yes, so to avoid that, we need to apply cultural competence, which essentially starts with the psychological safety mindset to ensure that we don't have prejudice and we invite everyone to share their opinions objectively. And also the second part is to be aware of our own personal emotional response, especially in times where we need to give feedback for the work that each member has done.
Yeah, whilst cultural competence is very important, there are some advantages and disadvantages for working in a culturally diverse team. To throw out some advantages, we had unique insights that enriched our discussions and problem-solving processes, enabling us to approach challenges from diverse viewpoints. It also helped us develop cultural awareness. By being part of a culturally diverse team, it exposed us to different various cultures, nurturing our cultural sensitivity and adaptability in multicultural settings in the future.
Yeah, and however, on the other side, we would say that being in a diverse team, we may have encountered some disadvantages as well, such as very decision-making skills and communication barriers. So, however, as a result, we would say that they were mostly combated through applying the adaptation strategy from Brett and Kern, which fostered open-mindedness, which embracing of new ideas and perspectives, as well as promoting inclusivity.
Yeah, to move on to insights and strategies to improve future teamwork. Through our journey as a team, we gained fundamental insight about accountability. We realized team members should not only shoulder their own responsibility, but everyone should shoulder each other's responsibility as a team to ensure group success. One of the feedback we got from our tutors was regarding this, that the majority of us relied on scripts. However, James took a different approach and memorized it, which was more positive, even though there may have been possible mistakes there. This sort of divergence in approaches sort of made us appear to be more disorganized and affected our team collaboration.
Yeah, and also related to presentation, I think like another thing is what our tutor always recommended, to just confidently forget and just go out there, forget our notes and like speak whatever is in our mind because we've done the work. And like the second part is about the 9-team roles. We have the different 9-team roles. I think we did it unintentionally, but in the future, if we are more intentional in separating the 9-team roles, then we could even be more effective.
Yeah, so moving on to the strategy, we'll enhance our team communication for future teamwork. We understand like the importance of openly discussing our strategies and approaches. So we will implement like regular check-ins to maintain transparency and ensure that everyone is well informed about our progress and goals. So this approach will prevent any like misunderstandings similar to what we encountered during our presentation this time.
Yeah, so by prioritizing effective communication, we aim to avoid future complications, ensuring smoother teamwork and exceptional performance. So our commitment towards open dialogue and shared understanding will ultimately be the cornerstone of our successful collaboration. Thank you for listening to our reflection.